Headline: Sega may do what Nintendo don't, but everyone wins when character design is at the forefront of the console wars. Now you're playing with power. This isn't a news show. Hi there, my name is Brooks with Character Design Forge. Today I want to talk about game characters. Now back in August I made 2 videos talking about game characters, and the example character that I made was a bumblebee with a giant gauntlet that performed most of her abilities. Now for the time and the amount of time that I had, I was pretty happy with how that character came out, but character design and rush job don't really go together in the same sentence, and that's because character design isn't really something that you do in a day. There's so many things that go into it, and oftentimes the best version of the character that you make is 3 or 4 iterations down the road. So as part of my 100 Days, 100 Characters series, over the past few weeks I took another shot at Bumblebee. 2 actually. So I started in my sketchbook, and then decided to take some sketches that I made into the iPad Pro app Procreate. Now while I wasn't necessarily happy 100% with how this version came out, I made a lot of changes from the first one that I think really helped. Next I took to Photoshop to try another version of the character, and I did a lot of things to fix some of the problems. For example, the head was kind of, instead of being a hunchback, it was really kind of put on the front of the torso on that second version. It was a little bit awkward. So now it's fully a hunched forward look for the character. And while there was a certain level of incapability and dopiness to the first 2 characters that I think was endearing and helped kind of the underdog nature of the character, being a flightless bumblebee in a honeybee hive, kind of being naturally at a disadvantage, I added some more dynamics to the character, a little bit more confidence to the pose, and I was happy with how this one came out. I decided to give her 2 gauntlets for the sake of symmetry, and those were a little bit of an afterthought, but I think it added to the overall character at the end, and I could really see playing this character in a game. Throughout my time doing character design, which I already love doing, I found that I love even more creating game characters. I've always had a soft spot for platforming games, and it's really nice to work with indie developers. There's a lot of things I like about game characters, and there's a time period that I kind of romanticize in my head when it comes to character design and gaming. So over the course of the 90s, which you'll remember if you're a 90s kid, and only 90s kids will get this because 90s kids, character design was playing a central role in gaming, and I don't think it's ever been more powerful. Games have advanced to a point where now you can have humans and ultra-violent realism, which who doesn't love that? But during this time period, there were a lot of technical limitations as to what was possible in a game. Once you lower the resolution, the amount of things that you can display becomes smaller, and that means that you need to add a lot of contrast and definition to what your character in the game is. And that's partially what led to games starring Mario and Sonic and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. But something really interesting happened. So you have Nintendo in the early 90s with the Super Nintendo and Sega with the Genesis, and both of them are competing for the marketplace. What ends up happening when you're advertising for these 2 consoles in a highly competitive market with hardware that costs several $100s, families generally were only picking one. You can advertise the gameplay, you can set up kiosks in stores, you can compare the technical specifications, you can brag about who has more games, you can show off the graphics. But what ends up actually happening is most people's first impressions of these consoles, the heralds for the console wars, end up being the character designs, the mascots. Sure, there's a lot of factors that go into people's choices in buying, but a lot of times it comes down to, kids, which character would you like to play as more? Mario or Sonic? That's a style of game and style of character design that I really love. I kind of seek to create similar work myself, and I think that's a really cool slice of history about character design, and I don't think we've seen the last time that it's that powerful. Over the course of my 100 Days, 100 Characters series, I've already made a couple of game characters and some general ideas for how the gameplay would be in the games that they would inhabit. Game. If you want to check out that series, if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, that's at BagelDenizen or Instagram.com/BagelDenizen. Check that out. I'm at day 14 now, and I'm showing a lot of process stuff there as well. I've been hard at work on the Learn Character Design course at learncharacterdesign.com recently. I'm so excited for you guys to finally see it. Head over there and sign up to be notified when it's available, and you'll get a free ebook called the Character Design Survival Guide, which helps you with a new character design or one that you're struggling with. I'm making new videos every week at Character Design Forge. Subscribing lets you know when new videos are made available. Thank you very much for watching, and have fun creating.